Two people are sitting in the same meeting room, both quiet, both staring at the exact same spot on the wall. One of them has a completely empty head. The other one is solving the whole problem right this second, and nobody in that room has even noticed. From the outside, you can't tell me which one is which, and that right there is the whole story today. There's a question running through your head right now. What does extremely high IQ actually mean? In numbers, it's a score of 130 or above, and less than about 2% of the population has it. But here's the scary part. The daily habits of that 2% don't look like intelligence from the outside. They look like flaws, and there's never a shortage of people ready to point them out. The whole system, from school to the office, taught us to call these habits by the wrong name because quick people are easier to manage. Somebody has definitely told you that you think too much. Somebody said you're a little cold. Somebody asked why it takes you so long to give a straight answer. And every single time you took it because you didn't have the words to argue back. Today, I'm giving you those words. On Ryan Findings, I break things apart, and today we're going through 7 habits that almost everybody reads backwards. 7 down to 1, and number 1 is the one that'll start the biggest fight in the comments. Hold one picture in your head. An old laptop is rendering something heavy. The screen is frozen. The cursor isn't moving. You think the machine crashed. Inside, the processor is heating up and the fan is spinning at full speed. That's called a background process. The human head does exactly this, and we look at the frozen screen and hand down a verdict. Marcus Reichel, a neuroscientist at Washington University, caught something strange while he was looking at brain scans. When a person is doing nothing at all, one specific network in the brain lights up the most. He named it the default mode network. Plain and simple, the brain doesn't shut off during rest, it just changes shifts. Fun fact, this one organ eats about 20% of your body's total energy, and during rest that cost stays pretty much the same. So the person staring at the wall in that meeting, are they off or are they on the night shift? Habit number 7, taking your time before you judge. Somebody asks a question, and they don't answer right away. The whole office decides this person isn't confident. In American work culture, we treat a fast answer as intelligence and a pause as weakness. You could just call this the quick answer myth. But psychology has a different name for that pause, cognitive patience, meaning once the information lands, they won't commit until they've turned it over from a few different sides. What looks like hesitation from the outside is verification on the inside. There's a cost to it, though. By then, somebody else already made the call, someone who knew less but opened their mouth first. So the question becomes, is that delay intelligence, or is it just fear of deciding? The answer gets even murkier at number 6. Number 6. Running the conversation in your head before it happens. Tomorrow's conversation already happened 10 times tonight, a little differently each time. Everybody calls this anxiety. Neuroscience has a name for it, predictive processing, meaning your brain is constantly building a model of the next moment, then checking it against reality to see where it got things wrong. Like a flight simulator, where the landing gets practiced 100 times before it ever happens. That guy sitting in his car for 2 minutes before he walks into the party isn't scared. He's finishing the rehearsal. And yeah, sometimes this really does tip over into anxiety. The line between the two is so thin that I can't always tell them apart myself. Number 5. Digging into stuff that is completely useless. At 2 in the morning, they're reading about why octopus blood is blue, which has nothing to do with their job. Lights off in the room, the fan humming, the cold cup of coffee sitting there long enough to leave a ring on the table. The family calls it a waste of time. Matthias Gruber, a researcher at UC Davis, put this exact thing under a scanner. When a person is at peak curiosity, the hippocampus, The part that builds memory, lights up more. And here's the fun part. They also remember the unrelated stuff around them better in that moment. Curiosity warms the brain up first, and then everything that comes in lands better. So that octopus night is actually training. The cost is the 7 a.m. alarm goes off just fine, nobody hears it. If I stopped here, this would just be another nice video. 7 habits, 7 compliments, everybody happy. But stay. Because the most uncomfortable part of this list hasn't shown up yet. The number of people these same habits have broken is not small either. Thinking too much wrecks your sleep. Noticing too much wrecks your relationships. So you could call these weaknesses. No, hold on, not weaknesses. Costs. Every ability sends you a bill, and nobody shows you the bill. Tell me something. Which one of the 7 have you caught the most grief for? Keep that number in your head, I'll ask at the end. Number 4. Reading people's patterns. They don't just hear what somebody said, they line it up against everything that same person said over the last 3 months. A lie gets caught in the gap between 2 sentences. People call them paranoid. Their brain is actually stitching data across time, drawing one long line. This is called pattern recognition, and it's one of the best-known signs of fluid intelligence. At the Thanksgiving dinner table, this thing switches on at the worst possible time. A relative says something with a laugh, and your head figures out in 3 seconds who that was actually aimed at. Now you know, and you can't say a word about it. Knowing and staying quiet, when those two run together, do you call that intelligence or a punishment? Number 3, being able to say, I don't know. Most people dodge those 3 words because they sound stupid. Yet the person who knows the most says it the easiest, because they know how big the answer actually is. Psychology calls it tolerance of ambiguity, the ability to sit inside uncertainty. Going to sleep with a question left open and not panicking about it. Honestly, I'm not fully sure myself how well an IQ test even measures a human mind. But it's also true that you don't get the job after saying those 3 words in an interview room. Number 2, stepping outside your own thoughts and watching yourself. The anger is rising, and at the same time they're watching the anger rise. A small voice inside the head says, you're not thinking straight right now. You're thinking like this because you didn't sleep. This is called metacognition, thinking about your own thinking. The background process does something strange here. The machine opens its own task manager and sits there, checking which process is eating the most RAM. From the outside, this person looks emotionless, like stone. They're actually feeling the emotion and measuring it in the same second. There's someone like this around you, and you've probably been calling them by the wrong name this whole time. Number 1, guarding empty time. This isn't just enjoying being alone. This is deliberately keeping time where there are no notifications, no music, nobody asking for anything. Saturday morning in that long Costco line, everybody's scrolling, and this person is just standing there, nothing in their ears. People think they're bored. Rachel's default mode network starts working right at that moment. 2 separate memories snap together, and the answer to a problem from 3 weeks ago shows up while they're picking up their car keys. This is why the best ideas don't come at your desk. They come in the shower or on a walk. And this is why, when somebody loses this time, their intelligence doesn't go anywhere. The place where it collects just shuts down. Here's the real point. Same machine, different power. Now think back to those 2 people in the meeting room. I never said which one was smart because the honest answer is uncomfortable. They could both be the same person, just in 2 different weeks. In the week nobody stole their alone time, that person is solving problems. And in the week with 3 meetings, 1 family drama, and 6 hours of sleep, those same habits are eating them alive. The difference isn't in the hardware. The difference is whether somebody guarded those habits or punished them. Once you know this, there's one thing you can't do anymore. look at a quiet person and hand down a fast verdict. And that just made you a little different from everybody else in the room. Now here's my question, and I already know you're going to fight each other over the answer. Which one of the 7 do you think isn't actually intelligence, just anxiety with a pretty name? Drop the number in the comments, and if somebody disagrees with you, take the argument up right there.